Hello, beautiful human. Thanks for clicking on our conversation with Sofia Carson. We have a lot to discuss, including her new record, Fool's Gold, Descendants will come up, and a whole lot more. Leave your honest feedback in the comment section below. Please hit like, and I'm begging you to hit subscribe because that's the only way we can keep going. You subscribe, that is fuel to keep us keeping on. I really appreciate you. Okay, let's get to it.
Let's do this. Zach Show.
Hello there, beautiful human. My name is Zach. We got Dan here, and we welcome back via the interwebs, Sofia Carson.
Whoop, whoop.
Woo!
Hi, beautiful humans.
Wow.
I'm referring to you guys because you guys are beautiful.
Thank you.
Guys.
We were just saying, it's been a crazy year for so many different reasons, but you've remained really busy. You've created consistently, and we've been very fortunate to catch up through this way 3 times now. I just wish they were in person because your energy is rather something.
Ditto.
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's wild, but I feel like soon. We're
yes.
getting there.
I have my first vaccine. I'm waiting for my second. When it is your turn, please get a vaccine. I beg you. It's
Absolutely.
our duty.
I say in a couple of months, we're going to be doing this in person.
Yes.
Sophia, the whole world seemed like they shut down for a while, but you didn't stop working. Did you take any time off?
I didn't.
Oh.
When the pandemic hit, I had just released a single and I had been on tour. So I did like a virtual tour, which Zach was there for. And so I was working, at the beginning, I was working primarily from home. And then in around June, I would say, so I was at home for like 2.5 months or so, is when I started, I shot a music video in June, I shot a movie in July. And I feel like that's when the business kind of learned how to work safely with masks and shields and testing and all of that stuff. And I'm so grateful for that because I don't know what I would have done. I wouldn't have done well just at home. I'm so glad I was able to get out and, like you said, create and stay so busy. It's been a blessing. Work has been truly like my salvation for all of us.
What has music been for you? What role has it played? Because there's been single after single, like you've been feeding us steadily. And obviously we have Fool's Gold. How is this latest single different than what came out in 2020?
What has music been for me? I think in the very beginning it was, and it still is, it was kind of remarkable to see the connection that we could all have, even though we were so far away. And it was all through music and doing those lives and doing all this stuff. But even though it was weird and we weren't physically connected, I don't know, we were all kind of living it at the same time and listening to the same music. And that was really beautiful. And to hear fans talk about that and like what the music meant for them at that time was really cool. Because that's why we do this, And recently, I've been in the studio a ton because when things got a little bit safer and, I've been pretty quarantined socially and so have other writers and stuff, we've been able to write music in the studio. And I've been in the studio more than ever. And Zach, definitely more inspired than ever before and writing so much more, which is really exciting. It's been like really therapeutic and like a sanctuary and a safe place. And I forgot what your last question. Oh, this era of music. It is a new era of music for me. I find that with every song, I feel like I get a little bit closer to Sophia, if that makes sense. Like every song is a little piece of me and everything is coming a little bit closer to like, okay, this is Sophia, which is really a really special feeling. And I wanted to kick off the year with this song because it's part of a story that I'm sharing with the world. And this song is the beginning of that story.
Has it been a rush to tell that story, or has it been like a slow and steady wins the race as you
it's been slow and steady, as most of fans would say, because they've been, it's a complicated business, and singles and albums are it's a funny thing, and it's been a slow and steady race, I think, to kind of find this and to find the story, but it all clicked, it all came together during quarantine, I would say, and it just became like crystal clear, which was such an exciting moment.
So what is this? What is the story that's being told in the album that is, I'm assuming, on the way, but when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, so I don't want to be that guy that puts words in your mouth.
That's great. When you were singing "Make an Ass Out of You and Me," I've heard that, but for some reason I haven't heard it in a while, and that one hit differently. I shall neither confirm nor deny, but I mean, the story that I'm telling is a story of love, and we begin with Fool's Gold, which is at the cusp, a girl at the cusp of falling heart first into a love that feels too good to be true, which I think we've all been there, like when your heart is fully in and wants to dive head first, but something in the back of your head is telling you that you shouldn't, but you don't really want to listen to it. So that's kind of where our story begins. And visually, I wanted to tell, kind of a whole experience. So it's not just the song or the lyrics or the melody, but it's a whole world. And it's the world told through the concept of fire, because fire signifies the beginning of something. And also, it made sense in the narrative that because she's daring to fall for this love, she's kind of metaphorically playing with fire. So that was a really fun thing to bring to life.
You talk about a she. Is the she you, or are you writing these records from somebody else's perspective, or coming up with a character?
That I said it in third person? No, I guess the she is me. The she is me, but I kind of always write like almost like a script, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Totally.
Like whenever I was putting the narrative for the treatment down with Hannah, I was like, we meet a girl and she, and I never thought of it as like me, even though it is me, but I feel like I'm kind of stepping into a persona at the same time, but also telling my story. I don't know. That was very confusing, wasn't it?
No, but by the way, like that, it makes sense. I mean, maybe it makes sense because I happen to have talked to a lot of pop stars over the years, but like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's your story, but to tell that story, you kind of come out of your normal energy and into something else. It's
exactly.
So Beyonce, what's her other
song?
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so when you're putting together this story, do you sit down and say, these are each of the individual stories I need to tell in the whole story? How does that all come together when you're putting the album songs in, the track list?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know if there's an album, so I don't know how to answer that question.
She played you.
Ha, 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 ha. But you said it was the beginning of a bigger story, so where's the rest of the story going to go then?
I guess you have to wait and see.
Oh, no.
So what have you taken with Fool's Gold? Well, was Fool's Gold the first song finished and started for this era?
No.
Okay. So why was it the right song to release first?
I'll tell you why. I was in LA. I mean, I've been in LA. We've all been in LA. In the middle of quarantine, and we had just received the final mix from Stargate. And I was playing the record in my car because I can only listen to my records like blasted in my car. I refuse to listen to them anywhere else.
Appropriate.
And for 3 minutes that the song lasted, I just felt happy and transported, and it made me feel good for 3 minutes. And it just kind of hit me that that's what I wanted to share with the world in a moment when perhaps we need it the most. Just 3 minutes of making someone in some part of the world feel good. And I remember I called the label, I called Neo and Ken, and everybody was on board. And then it also just made sense because the story of the record begins at the start of love. And that's where our story begins.
So what are you listening for in the songs moving forward? Like to determine if it's good enough for public consumption? Honesty
and truth. Honestly, I just want to release music that feels like my heart, that every single word is something that I would say or that I would write. And it's been, I wrote my first song when I was 10, and I fell in love with writing music. The first couple of singles that I released, I didn't write. I was, part of the process and such, but they had been written, and it's a very different experience to, write and sing stuff that is your own. And I've always wanted to do that, so it's exciting to be at that place. And yeah, all I want is just honesty and truth and just songs that just move me. And I've always said that I love music that makes you want to dance and cry at the same time, like that moves your body and moves your soul. So that's kind of what I'm going for.
Did you know you were ready for quite some time to write your own song, or did something happen that was like, okay, I'm ready now?
Oh, no, I've been ready for quite some time. It's just a process.
But that's it. Like, but to call up like the people at the label and be like, this is my own. Like, this is the one we need to go with. But then again, like at the same time, like, is it wrong to say your most successful records so far have been the ones that you've been like, that have come from you? Because the 2020 records you wrote on, right?
The 2020 records I wrote on I Love You. And that was, yes. I think that was the most successful record of of 2020. Actually, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Because like I just find it interesting that you sat on these songs that were yours, but that's so typical of the music industry, right? Like
It's very typical. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not an abnormal thing. Like when an
At
artist
all.
is starting off, they'll send songs from amazing writers, and then kind of like when you start to trust the artist, you kind of allow them to,
Yeah.
begin writing. And it takes a second. This is really only the beginning for me, so it's exciting to be at that place and to be writing with so many incredible people. But you're right, Zach, and I've always believed that. I think we're in a place in music right now where it's so transparent, right? When it's dishonest, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I think the songs that connect the most are the ones that are just like artist souls speaking, in my opinion.
Authenticity and transparency is like the coolest thing around, you know? In a
Literally,
world where people
which is so cool.
Yes.
To be living in a world like that, that's really cool.
Well, in a world where so many people put filters on things, that there is
Yeah.
some appetite for
There is a hunger for that. Yeah.
honesty. It makes me happy.
Do you feel a connection to your old music or no?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's part of the journey, but it's also part of growth. Like you kind of grow up, and I think you what do you call it? You grow as an artist. But yeah, absolutely. All the songs I've released, I think, have a special place in my heart. I kind of like re-fall in love with them when I sing them live, and I can kind of put a different spin on them. Like I love singing. Recently, like I did we did like a full concert for fans, like a virtual one, which was really
Yeah.
cool. And we did like a whole new version of my first single, Love Is the Name, which was so cool to perform. And like I love performing, with like piano and strings and stuff like that, and that's always really special.
How did Fool's Gold begin? Do you go in with a story? Does somebody give you a piece of production that you have to create to?
Fool's
Take us
Gold
back
was
to nothing.
Stargate sent a demo with that melody, and it was, just kind of instant that I fell in love with it. And yeah, it was, I don't know, there was just something kind of magical and so hooky about it. And then when I went into the studio and did my thing and then recorded the vocal, it all came to life. And then they took that and then they like recorded live strings over it and that sick bass and everything, and it just kind of came to life. But that's a rarity. Like usually I'll go into the studio and I usually start with a title, a song title. Like I usually have my notes pages are filled with like a couple of words or a song title or a concept, but I always start with the lyric, with the words, like the story that I want to tell, and then kind of go from there.
I just want to know when, like, I'm hungry for the album because I also want to know who you worked on with it. Like, are you working with the same people consistently where you've built a routine and trust with people, or are you still getting to know producers? The first one.
I have been, it's a couple of producers, but a couple of them on same records. And I've been working with Justin Tranter.
Oh, cool. Oh,
amazing.
Fabulous. Yeah, a living legend.
Living legend. So he is co-writer and co-producer on, with everything that I'm doing. So it's been really cool to be writing with him and creating with him. And he just kind of, it's special when someone just kind of understands you and gets you. And it just becomes easy when you're in the room.
And it's rare.
It's rare. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but have you ever put out an album? Because I don't think you have.
No, I have not. I've only released singles.
So as a person who's released music for so long, why have you never put out a full album before?
The music wasn't there. I don't think the story was ready. And I feel like it's timing is everything too.
Yeah.
And this kind of pandemic allowed me the time to dive into the studio and to really focus on creating this bigger story. And also the music industry has changed so much. For so long you hear that it's no longer an album business, that for new artists you should release singles and such and then eventually release the album. So that was kind of the strategy from the beginning, to kind of place yourself first and then release the actual body of work whenever that is, if it ever happens. But yeah, there's a couple of reasons.
Well, you don't want to rush your debut album too, and you don't want to do it before you know your sound and understand and realize or confirm, validate that the sound that you're putting out is true to you. And you only get one debut album. Like you could release a bunch of songs.
100%. It's very different. It's very different.
Is red the aesthetic for this era?
Red is the aesthetic for this current era, yes, and gold, clearly.
Love it.
I love the
But-
gold. Makes you look like an Egyptian princess.
Oh, Drew, you're so sweet. Thank you.
That's like, what? Have you ever seen those Egyptian pharaohs? They're just dripping in gold.
Zach, I almost texted you saying, by the way, I'm wearing gold in case you want to throw something gold
Oh,
on.
I would have loved to have matched you just because I want to look
should
like a
have.
pharaoh too.
Yeah, fully.
Yeah, I have white. You know what? I do have a yellow shirt back there. I should have put it on.
That's
Darn.
okay. Next time.
Yeah, yeah. You'll be coming for the album when it happens, and that will be in the studio because I can't do this anymore.
No, I can't do it either.
I'm over it. By the way, sorry, Dan. You were complimenting Sophia.
I already said it. That's the vibe I've been getting from all the gold.
Okay.
I'll take it. Hey, that's a hell of a compliment. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, no problem. Oh,
You
think
look
that's
like
funny?
an Egyptian pharaoh too.
I don't think so, but I appreciate that.
Adopt, don't shop.
But we do have to talk about Descendants.
I mean, you guys know how much I adore Descendants and Evie. She changed my life forever. This is an animation, like an animated special. There was an animated series for Descendants called Wicked World, and Disney wanted to do kind of one last chapter. And it's the wedding special. I don't know how much I can spoil, but I know that has been revealed. And, you can imagine it's tremendously difficult to do without Cam.
Mm-hmm.
But, the fans love this franchise so much, and I think they're really excited about kind of seeing this special that they put together.
So it's animated. So the same characters live in an animated fashion. So it's cartoons essentially, or
Yep.
digital animation, and you're just the voice. Is there a reason they went with that move as opposed to trying to recreate it?
I honestly couldn't have imagined doing a live action without him.
Right? That
Yeah.
this was probably hard enough.
Oh, you have no idea. Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was tough.
Do,
It was tough. Yeah.
Do you mind me asking do they bring back his character?
They don't bring back his character, but he is honored.
Okay,
in
great.
It is touched on. Yeah.
I know sometimes, like, they have people to replace everybody's voice at the drop of a hat, dude.
True. Oh my God, that would have been. Yeah, no, they don't do that. They don't do that. But fans ever since Descendants 3 have been asking for another chapter, and I think this felt like the right way to do it.
A lot of respect and appreciation to you and to the rest of the cast for showing up and getting that done. I mean,
Thank you for saying that.
that's hard.
Now this may be a dumb question, but do you at least put the wig on when you're recording your
I love you
lines?
so much. I love you so much. I wish.
Oh,
Could you
someone would
imagine?
say yes.
Could you imagine? I was like, I have one condition. I have to wear the Evie wig while I record the voiceover.
I'm sure they do that for you.
I can't believe I didn't actually think of that.
Man, you
That
should have
would
went
have
full.
been so cool.
Should have went
It's
full
been
costume.
Full cost. That's what I should have done. Damn
Relax.
it. No, I didn't. I
It
didn't
defeats the whole
think of that.
purpose of the animated version of this thing.
Yeah, true. I missed that costume.
So you don't get to keep one?
Yeah, do you have a version of it?
No, because those costumes are each kind of like handmade and very intricate, and they always keep those in like some sort of a vault situation.
Temperature
like
control
forever and ever,
situation.
just in case there's reshoots or just kind of to keep for like Disney history's sake.
How cool is that? That one of your characters is a true part of Disney history. Like,
It's wild.
Does it ever get like normal, or is it always weird when you see a young kid dressed up as you for Halloween?
I don't think that could ever be like normal. I think it's always like difficult to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
It's like you see them dressed up as you. And then you think of yourself when you were a little girl dressed up like Belle from Beauty and the Beast, And it's like that's what this is for them, which is incredible. And then to see, because this was first Descendants was 5 years ago. And then I guess if the girls might have been like, 10 when they watched it then, they're now 15, or the 15-year-olds are now 20. And then they kind of grow up and now are Sofia Carson fans and follow the music aspect. And they've kind of grown up with Evie. And it's so cool. So cool to see that.
there is a forever responsibility and a forever attachment to
Oh,
that.
yeah. forever. But I've always loved it, and I've always taken it really seriously. We might have spoken about
Yeah.
this, but I've always loved it. I always found it so beautiful that Evie wasn't, I don't want to say just a Disney princess, but you know what I mean, and that her story was like so much more, that it was quite literally breaking the mold of what a Disney princess is and saying like, I'm not a pretty face. I'm not defined by what I look like in the mirror. I am who I am in my heart and in my mind. And that's really amazing and has meant so much to so many girls. And that's also very much so in line with who I am and what I stand for. So it's definitely a forever responsibility that I cherish.
Was there a defining moment or like a moment of realization that this was a character that you're going to be linked with for the rest of your life and beyond? You know, like it's something bigger than you. I mean, respectfully, like, you know.
Wow, you're right.
She's bigger than
Even
you.
beyond the rest of my life. Yeah, that's why I never thought of that, Zach. I remember this was after I wrapped the first Descendants, and like, guys, remember I was fresh out of college, a college student
I remember
who, of course, had been working her whole life, over a decade, to try and make that happen.
This was
But
no
my life-
slow thing. Like no fast
No.
thing. This was the slowest build. I mean, you
Slowest build.
did it.
Thank you. And so it was my first movie at this level with the magic that is Disney, and the whole thing was a fairy tale, start to finish. And I remember getting in the car after we wrapped our last shot of the first Descendants, and I was with our producer at the time, Wendy, who's amazing, and all the other actors, I think, had kind of been used to like shooting something and then wrapping and moving on. But for me, it was like I didn't want it to end. And I got in the car and I was really sad that it was over. And I told her, Wendy, I'm just sad that it's over. And she said, that's the beauty of this, sweetie. This will last forever. And it hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. You're so right. And it will, which is beautiful.
Wild. And that is art. Everlasting.
You're right.
And forever. I'm excited for whenever this debut album may appear.
Or not.
Or not. Yeah, we're okay. We've come to terms with either one.
I'll make sure I'll give you guys the heads up. Be like, guys, it's not happening. Guys, it's happening.
Thank you. Just send a smoke signal up from your house.
I'll
up
send
the
a
block.
smoke signal. Yeah. It'll be red, so you know.
Thank you so much. What are you thinking? Final thoughts?
The only thing I want to ask about is the music video that you briefly touched on. How was it shooting that? How was Hannah Lux Davis? That's her name, right? She's done
Icon.
everything. She's done
What
all
a
the biggest
name.
videos.
Yeah.
Hannah Lux Davis.
Yes, and she is an icon and a creative visionary.
An icon of the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the most iconic music videos, female-driven music videos, have come from her. And she actually, funny story, shot my very first music video, Love Is the Name.
Oh, wow.
So it was a full circle moment. And she also shot Guess I'm a Liar, which she killed. And when it came to this, I knew I had to work with Hannah. And the second I told her about the concept of fire, she just gets me. I know. I think that's probably her magic, is that she gets the artist and she doesn't try to change them or instill her vision on them. She kind of pulls the authenticity out of the record and onto the screen. And we created this narrative because I'm all about every aspect of the storytelling. And I really wanted to make sure that came across in the video, that we weren't just like, we didn't have fire there randomly. The fire had to make sense with the narrative. And the narrative became, we have this girl who has this intrinsic fire within her because she knows who she is and what she wants. And she wants him, but he seems too good to be true. And hence, in this metaphor of the game of love, she's playing with fire. And all the setups came from her incredible visionary mind. And it was so fun collaborating and bringing it to life.
I'll tell you what, I'm terrified of fire, so I don't think I would have been able to get in that little V thing that was in flames.
Because that was real. The rest of it is all visual effects, but that triangle Egyptian thing that you said was real. But it was cool. I mean, it was pretty far away from me, but it was cool.
Nope. Wouldn't do that. Terrified of fire. But hey, good for you.
Dan doesn't use his oven. He's afraid that it's going to explode.
I'm with you in that I can't cook, and anything that's like hot and like stoves really scare me. So I'm right there with you.
Wow.
Look at that. Finally found someone who agrees that ovens are terrifying.
Terrifying. It's terrifying. Every time it opens and that heat comes out, it's terrifying.
And then people stick their hands in
Their
there to
hands in
grab
there,
things. I'm
or
like, what are you
that, it's like-
doing?
What?
Why would you stick your hand in
Can I
that?
tell you guys a story that I probably shouldn't tell because it's embarrassing, but I'm going
Please.
to tell it because it's you guys. I genuinely can't cook. And it's gotten a little bit better because when I shoot and I'm out of the country for months at a time
You got to
and
fend.
I get back. What?
You have to figure out how to fend eventually, right?
Totally. Even though you eat on set, if you get home really late, I'm like, what can I? So I can make eggs and I can make scrambled eggs.
Great.
And I can make popcorn, put popcorn like kernels, and I put them in there with the oil, and it's super simple. And those are my two specialties. So I can fend for myself.
Talented.
And I bought a hard-boiled egg maker over quarantine, so that I can do that.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much. It was major. But when I was in high school, I remember, I don't remember why, but I had bought a soup. And it wasn't a soup that I could just warm up in the microwave. I don't know why. But I ended up putting it on the stove to heat it up. And I remember vividly it started to boil. And one of the soup sparked on my hand. And I just broke. I started sobbing. Sobbing in my kitchen. And I was like, I'm going to burn the house. I was absolutely terrified.
And from that moment on, you've never used the stove the same way again.
Never.
And that's how you figure out where your fears come from, everybody. You really got to trace it back. Do you have a moment
really
where the oven messed with your head, Dan?
No, but I fully agree. If I'm trying to cook something on the stove and like a little piece of oil hits me, game over. Like,
Game over.
Can't
it
do
was
it.
Scary. It
It's
was
hot.
Scary.
it's going to burn me.
hot.
It could potentially burn my house down.
Okay.
Absolutely no way.
That's
Yeah,
where
'cause-
my mind went.
You're in no control over the flame. You're in no control over the
Totally.
pot. You have no ability to turn something off.
No.
You can't do it.
Hey,
No,
once
at
one
that
thing.
moment, everything kind of goes blank, and it's like all you see is red. It's like, oh my god.
Oh my gosh, guys, what are you gonna do when like tragedy really strikes? Like if
I don't think there's a bigger tragedy than an oven on fire or a stove on fire. It's the biggest tragedy you can get.
a stove is meant to be on fire.
Well, I can
if
make
it's
the eggs
working
and I can make
properly.
the popcorn, so I think I'm good if tragedy strikes.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. You could make a fire and pop popcorn over it.
Oh, make a fire. Oh, you mean that kind of tragedy? No, that's dark.
No, okay, got it.
That's
Sorry.
dark.
Final thoughts, Daniel?
I just hope the next time we see you, you can come in here so we can all
Yes.
stop doing these Zoom things. You kind of over Zoom?
Am I kind of over Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And luckily, I can imagine because you guys must do this all day long. Like I only have to do this when I'm doing press or promo. Apart from that, I can be on set.
Yes.
But I can imagine. Yeah. I can't even speak. Let's make a pinky promise that next time we do this.
please.
Where's the camera? There it is.
Yeah. Hooked. What is that? That's not how you do a pinky promise. What you're supposed to do is pinky promise somebody, then you kiss the other side of it or something.
Can't do that. We're in a
This-
pandemic.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're right.
God, my bad. Anyway, Sofia Carson, debut album potentially coming. Keep an eye out. But if you want to listen to Fool's Gold, there's a link in the description below. We love and appreciate you. Thank you for your energy today.
I love you guys. Thank you.
You're the best. Really. Next time in person, love.
Next time in person, bring the hoverboard,
Yeah.
and I'll bring the stove.
You bring the popcorn.
I'll bring the popcorn.
Love,
guys.
dude. Have an amazing day.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Later.
Hey, beautiful human. Thanks for watching our full interview, but I get it. A full interview is a lot. So we got a clips channel. We don't expect you to watch the full thing anymore, so we just gave you the highlights. Please subscribe and notifications and all that stuff. Okay, cool. I love you.